and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I am going to be bringing you the second part of my Best in Beauty 2020 roundup. Today we are going to be talking about my favourite makeup products and makeup tools that I have been using to apply my makeup. So 2020 was the year that I made a third attempt at a YouTube channel, and I've actually been, other than I think about 3 uploads, I've been really consistent since I think April, so I think I've been doing really well. I have been a makeup lover for probably about 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. So I've really properly been into it, and I've seen my skills and the products that I'm choosing improve so much that I wanted to kind of sit down and make this video for you guys, so you guys can know what I have been loving this year. Obviously, as with my hair, skin and body roundup, there's not going to be a product necessarily for every single category. I think I do actually have one for every single category, but these are the products that I've either discovered this year or have just been real standouts in my collection that have absolutely blown me away, or have been real staples that I haven't really been able to walk away from. So we'll go in order of application. So we'll go from primer right the way through to lipstick, and I'll take you through every single product that has basically been my absolute favourite of this year. So the first that we are going to talk about is the Kiko Matte Face Base. Now this is going to be no surprise to anybody if you know me in real life or you have been watching this channel since really we started. This has definitely been my favourite primer, frankly, since I discovered it about 2 years ago. So it's a real kind of thick kind of gel texture, and then you rub it in and it almost like it bursts and turns into kind of almost like a liquidy water. It's really good for filling in pores, but what it does is it sets to an almost rubberized finish, and as a result it's really good for kind of long wearing makeup looks, for making your skin kind of behave, and for foundations to have a really good base to sit on top of. For somebody that has really oily skin, this has been an absolute lifesaver. The only product that I can say that is similar to this is the MAC Prep and Prime Skin Refine Zone. However, it's like 4 times the price of this. This is like £8. I love Kiko as a brand, definitely one of my top 5 makeup brands that I have ever loved. I love their price point and their efficacy and just how their products work. So for me, this is definitely my top primer of 2020 and probably will be for many years to come. My 2 standout foundations from this year that are my favourites of 2020 are both foundations that were new to me this year and I did reviews of on my channel. So the first one that we have, take 2 guesses, it's not really going to be a surprise. It's the Tarte Found Sealer Multitasking Foundation. I picked this up in a whim on Tarte's second £56 7 products 1-day sale thing that they do. And for me, this is possibly one of the best foundations that I have ever tried. Possibly even knocking MAC Studio Fix off the top spot in terms of my favourite foundations that I've ever tried. It's quite a liquidy consistency, really good coverage, really good shade range. I love the fact that it has a pump as well, and it's like a built-in pump. It's like really handy lightweight plastic packaging. Sat really well on my skin, lasted for ages, and for the price that I paid, it was a really fantastic deal. Like, I raved about it in my review video, and I haven't really seen anybody talk about it online. I think that Tarte as a brand, while I really rate them, they lost a lot of clout in the makeup world when they made the arse up that they did with the Shape Tape foundation, of having like the worst shade range that I think anybody's ever seen in a foundation ever. For me, this product is absolutely brilliant, and I'm happy to support Tarte as a brand, because for me, some of the products that they have are some of my most favourite products that I've ever tried ever. This being one of them, I think is absolutely brilliant, and you need to try this even if you've got dry skin, because it has a really creamy texture. It sits well over all types of kind of texture on the skin. It has really good coverage. You should watch my review video of it if you haven't done so already. Similarly, the foundation that probably surprised me the most this year, and also I found myself going back to quite a lot, is the EX1 Invisiwear Liquid Foundation. Now I know this had a real moment probably about 2 years ago, maybe even 3, I don't even know, I'm getting old, no idea, on the internet, when everybody was absolutely loving this, and I thought this was going to be terrible. I thought this was going to last for about 20 seconds on my skin and then turn into an oil slick mess. Oh boy, how wrong was I. It actually lasted really well. It's possibly the most skin-like foundation that I have ever used. I think the shade range was good if you've got like yellow tone skin, particularly pale yellow tone skin. like I do when I don't tan. And you can really struggle in the drugstore to find, and on the high street, to find foundations that actually match you, and to find things that are within a good price range that actually work, that actually match your skin tone. And EX1 definitely deliver on that 100%. The only other brand that I used to be able to rely on are Bourjois, which have since, I believe, removed themselves from the UK market, but even then they were very yellow based, but they didn't go very pale. I think a lot of high street brands are making a bigger push in terms of larger shade range, but a lot of the times that I find when they're launching a new foundation, they tend to have a shade called Ivory, which tends to be the palest shade, and that's my shade when I'm fake tanned. And then they have to make lighter ones like Milani did, and like Rimmel did with their Lasting Perfection foundation, things like that. There needs to be a lot more consensus across the board. But anyway, divulging from that, this is brilliant. It lasts really well on my skin, looks the most skin-like. It does get a bit more oilier than the Fine Sealer. Just another pump top foundation as per usual, but this is absolutely great. I really rate this, and I've converted a couple of my friends actually to buy this as well. Absolutely brilliant. Definitely a standout product of 2020. Two concealers that you haven't probably seen really featured on my channel. One of them was featured in one video, and I haven't really used the other one because I've been trying to do other bits and bobs and use some other products. But we have the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, which I've made a decent dent in so far. I've only had this for probably about 6 months, and I stopped using it for a little bit, then came back to it, realised it's brilliant, and I've continued to use it again. It's like a really big container for a concealer. You get like 9ml of product in here, which is a lot of product. Pump's a little bit temperamental, but I mean, I can forgive that because the product in here is absolutely brilliant. This is one of 2 concealers that I don't hate. And I hate all concealers because for me, they all go dry and the coverage disappears and they look really shit on my skin. So for me, this is absolutely brilliant. It's really hydrating under the eyes, it has fantastic coverage, works really well with all my foundations, applies well with a brush, with fingers, with a sponge, lasts like nothing else obviously because it's from the Pro Longwear range, and they have a fantastic selection of shades in this as well, so definitely recommend this one. And I use that on blemishes and under my eyes as well, actually, just to point out. One that I use specifically just for under the eyes is the Benefit Boing Cakeless Concealer. Now, I must be nearly finished this, so this is definitely going to be going into Project Pan that I will be re-upping for next year, but that's a future video. This is a weird concealer because it feels like really thin, but also really thick at the same time. I don't even know how to describe it, but basically I use this exclusively under my eyes. It blends like nothing else, sets like nothing else, and it really doesn't crease or cake or do anything at all. You can add whatever you want over the top of it, and it looks fresh and natural and beautiful. The only thing I will say is that it is a little bit more expensive than the Pro Longwear. You only get 5 ml products in this, whereas you get 9 in this. And I think this is still like 20 quid. Shade range isn't as good as the MAC one, however, if you can get one that matches you, absolutely brilliant. Does come with a doe foot, so it's better for applying under the eyes than the MAC one. And for me, this is just one of the best and most natural under eye concealers that I have ever tried, so this is absolutely brilliant. A powder favourite of this year is really weird, considering I've gone relatively leaning towards the high end so far. My favourite powder of 2020 has actually been the Wet n Wild Photo Focus powder. Now, I've actually made, I didn't realise, I thought I'd dropped like eyeliner on it or something. No, actually, that's the start of the pan coming through. So guess what's going in Project Pan for next year? Thank God for that. It's a really good powder actually. It's just one that I find myself reaching for all the time. It's got thin enough packaging that I feel that I can put it in my handbag and travel with it. It's vegan, cruelty-free, as are a lot of the products that I'm going to be mentioning today. It's got a little bit of a tint of coverage in it, so if you really wanted to do a no makeup look, you could just sweep this across your face. But it sets my makeup really well and just does the job that you need it to do. I've tried powders that have been £1, and I've tried powders that have been like 40 quid, and for me, there is not a massively huge amount of difference between the powders, so I would rather go for something that's a bit more budget, a bit more purse friendly, and this has definitely been my powder that I've been reaching for more often than not. Like, it was really heavily domed and I've made such a dent in this, so I have absolutely mullered this powder, but I just think it looks really good. It's from Wet n Wild's Photo Focus range, so it's really good for like on camera or like if you're taking photos or anything like that, so I just think it's absolutely brilliant. You definitely should pick this up. My favourite bronzer brand frankly, and it doesn't really matter which bronzer I pick, they're all brilliant, is Kiko. I absolutely love Kiko bronzers. My favourite one, if I had to pick, would be their marble bronzer that they release in every collection, I think, normally under a different name, normally about 15 or 16 quid. Smells like vanilla, absolutely brilliant, massive pan, lasts forever. So for me, that's like an everyday bronzer. I have it upstairs, I don't have it down here to show you at the moment. The one that I do have is the Jelly Jungle Maxi Bronzer in the shade Beige Storm. So it is a little bit orange, but it doesn't translate necessarily that orange on the skin. And for me, this is just a brilliant everyday bronzer that I have been using pretty consistently for kind of the past 4 months. I've made a decent dent in it. I'm wanting to make a bigger dent in it. I'm hoping in the next kind of year to kind of really work my way through some products. But again, like I said, future video. Kiko bronzers blend like nothing else. They're really affordable. They all smell really, really good, which I know isn't really that important when it's on your face, but still. Price point is absolutely brilliant. They have a really good shade range as well, and for me it's just the best bronzers. I don't really think I would buy any other bronzers. I do have like a MAC bronzer palette, and I do have like I have Nars Laguna, and I have a few from Too Faced, but for me I just always find myself reaching for Kiko because I know they're bronzers that I can rely on, that look good on my skin tone and are going to last really well as well. And my favourite blush of 2020 is a toss-up between two, but I picked this one because I find myself reaching for this more often than my other choice. This is MAC Warm Soul, which I picked up in my MAC Full Face try-on haul, probably I think in April or May, I'm not really certain. So it's kind of just this really beautiful, like bronzy, peachy, pinky colour that just looks so natural on the skin. It's what I'm wearing right now. Has a little bit of a shimmer in it, so that you don't look completely dead. And for me, because of how oily my skin is, I don't necessarily like to wear lots of highlighter. So for me, it gives enough of a glow every day that I don't feel the need to add a separate highlighter. Lasts really well, payoff's really, really good, and obviously with it being MAC, it's just a really, really great all-round quality product. Really big pan, really easy to get like your brush in there, swirl it around and put it on. Absolutely brilliant. Small enough that you can travel with. And in terms of blush prices, like it is a little bit more expensive, but because powder products, particularly like your bronzers and your blushes, because they do come in such large pans, even if you were to use them every day, it's still going to take you a good few months to get through a product. So I think it's better investing in formulas that you know work. If you find things on the high street that work for you and are the right colour, great, go for it. I just haven't found anything that does. Because I have such an awkward pale yellow skin tone, it's difficult for me to get products that actually sit well on my skin. This is one of them, and this is always going to be something that's in my collection. And then obviously my favourites, the sun's coming in through this window, so if the light is going a bit weird, I do apologise. But my favourite setting spray of 2020, obviously, it's got to be Urban Decay All Nighter. A lot of people apparently find this weird that I use this on my face every single day, pretty much. But for me, I just find that it makes such a difference in how my makeup lasts and how it looks and how it sits on my skin tone. The spray is really fine. It helps settle any powders that are on my skin, makes it look a lot more natural, but just makes my makeup last so much better, which is something that I really struggle with as like an oily skinned person. So for me, yeah, for other people it might be too heavy for them to use every day, but for me it's absolutely spot on. Would not change a thing other than the price because it's really expensive. I was really lucky and managed to, I think I've got like 9 of them currently. They're not all open, obviously I'm not that stupid, but I think I've currently got about 9 of them that are all, I bought them all on sale, I think for about £5 each, because they're normally like £24 to £26. So I think that was an absolute bargain, absolutely brilliant. And even if it was full price, I'd probably still continue to purchase it because it's just the best thing that I found really to set my makeup and make it last longer. My favourite kind of foundation tool that I have kind of not even discovered, I've just been using this for ages, but I really started to appreciate it this year, is the Real Technique sponges. I do have the one with the pink one with a little handle sat over there, but it's really dirty. This is the original Miracle Complexion Sponge. For me, I didn't really see the point in makeup sponges, so I didn't buy them, didn't use them, and then I kind of learned how to use them properly, and I'm like, okay, this is how it's supposed to work. Generally what I do is I will buff the foundation in to get it where I need it with a brush. That could be any brush. I've got brushes that cost me 20 quid and brushes that I bought in a set for £5 off eBay. They all do the same job. It's not really, that bit's not important. But then as a finishing step, I will then use a kind of damp sponge to just kind of really pat it into the skin, remove any excess product, make it look a bit more natural. £16 on a beauty blender when I could spend £5 on a Real Techniques sponge. I think for me that's just a more sustainable and financially viable choice for myself. And I think the Real Techniques sponges are really, really good. They're nearly always on offer somewhere. If it's not Superdrug, it'll be Boots, it'll be online. I just think they're absolutely brilliant and they'll always be in my collection. Speaking of Real Techniques, they are some of my favourite brushes as well. So 3 of my favourite brushes of this year are these 3 here, which you can barely see because the sun is being a pain in the arse. Hang on. So I have 3 brushes here to show you that have been standouts. This one is absolutely filthy because I've been using this for my blush for like 3 weeks and I haven't cleaned it. Whoops, sorry. So we have the Real Techniques 201 brush. This is their powder brush. It's like a really like big fluffy domed ball, really soft, really lovely. And I use this for powder, I use it for bronzer, I sometimes use it for blush if I'm really wanting a diffused application. It's just a really good all-round brush. It's really good for like doing larger areas of your face. And it's really good for like blending bronzer in, like a really round, like kind of diffused placement. Absolutely brilliant, really, really cheap. I got it in the same set as the multitask brush. This is the Real Techniques 407. This is what I use for my blush, or if I'm doing contour, which I very rarely do, but if I am, this is what I'm using. It's got a slightly smaller, slightly more narrow head than the Real Techniques one, the powder brush anyway. And this is really good for like more kind of detailed work, I suppose, but still giving you a decent blend. And then if I'm wanting a really, really diffused application of bronzer, which to be fair, more often than not, I normally do, I will be using a stippling kind of duo fibre brush. This is my favourite. This is from PS Pro. Swirl my bronzer in it. Go like that, hunky-dory. This is what I use on my day off days. Absolutely brilliant. Another brush that I want to show you, but I've lost it, so I don't know where it is. But it's a Morphe kind of candlestick brush, which I use for setting under my eyes. Absolutely brilliant. Another miscellaneous product that I do want to mention is my favourite blotting papers. I have a brand new packet here to show you. These are the Kiko Sebio Balance Oil Control papers. So basically what these are is little blotting papers basically that are bright green. They've got infused with green tea, I think. Come in lovely kind of cardboard packaging, and they're just really thin like tissue paper bits there. Throw them in your handbag, absolutely brilliant. They come in a pack of 100 for about £6, so they're absolutely fabulous. Really kind of absorb the oil on your face without actually kind of disturbing your makeup underneath. I think they're absolutely fabulous. So that's another kind of miscellaneous product of 2020 for me. We'll then move on to the brows. I have 3 products to talk about here today, which I'll basically call kind of much of a muchness. So my favourite brow pencil, really, that I've actually used consistently is the IT Cosmetics Brow Power in Universal Taupe. This, I literally have like the tiniest little nubbin of that left before that's going to be going into an empties video. It's in a really good shade. It doesn't matter how light or how dark my hair is, this shade seems to match me, and it's got one of the best spoolies that I've ever used. I will use that in conjunction with the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. A relatively new discovery, however, definitely the best brow gel, frankly, that I have ever used, ever. It's really, really good at like keeping your brow hairs kind of up, bushy and in place, and they don't move at all when I'm using this product. I only really got this when I did my Boots, I think it was the Boots Best in Beauty unboxing. Really quite a good price as well, and absolutely brilliant, would definitely recommend that. But my favourite all-in-one product, one that I've been using the most consistently for the longest time, is the Soap & Glory Archery 2-in-1 brow kind of duo thing. So on one side you have quite a fat triangular nibbed pencil, and then on the other side you have a gel. This is my favourite product really that I've been using for years, frankly. I think I've got like 5 or 6 of these that are currently on the go that I'm trying to work my way through. This is in the shade Brownie Points, which is quite a cool brown. This is quite a cool brown. So I find that this will sit quite well on most skin tones, unless you're like blonde, obviously you only need to go for like a lighter shade. Absolutely brilliant. Pencil, if you like a thinner pencil, you're probably going to struggle with this. For me, I have quite a lot of brow hair naturally, it's just they need a bit of shaping. So this is what I use this for, and the gel, it's not as good as the Benefit one, but it is still really good for like every day, just keeping your brow hairs exactly where you need them to be. Definitely more of a budget product, but absolutely brilliant nonetheless. I have two eyeshadow palette favourites of 2020 to talk to you about. One is actually one that came out last year, but one that I find myself using quite frequently, even though it doesn't look like I've used them. It is the Too Faced Spicy Gingerbread palette. So this is kind of what it looks like on the inside. Too Faced normally do some sort of palette that looks like this every single year. I think it's just called the Gingerbread palette this year. I'm not sure, it doesn't have the figures on it necessarily. It smells like vanilla cinnamon cookies. It is lovely. It's just full of warm, delicious, lovely shades that are everything that I look for, frankly, in a palette. The only thing I would say about this, and I did criticise this in one of my previous videos, this shade here, Midnight Snack, is like a blue with like silver glitter in it. And for me, it just doesn't fit really with the rest of the colours. I think it would be better if it was just a matte black, personally, for me, but that is just my personal opinion. You've got a really good mix of mattes and shimmers and kind of satin shades, really good mix between kind of lighter, darker colours. You've got some pinks, you've got some oranges, you've got browns, you've got golds, you've got bronzes, you've got all sorts. If I was only to have one palette for the rest of my life, this would be it. It's absolutely brilliant. But obviously, it being Too Faced, it is a little bit expensive. A budget option, which I believe is still available, please correct me if I am wrong, is the Revolution Soph Extra Spice palette. Now this is only about 10 quid, but this is absolutely brilliant. So this is kind of the shades that you're looking like on the inside. Now for me, I don't use all the shades that are in here. I use pretty much all of the middle row, categorically. I've used most of the bottom row. It's just some of the more silvery shades that I haven't really used, and maybe Reputation and Aurora on the bottom, which is like kind of a dark khaki green and the browny navy colour. But for me, this is 10 quid, absolutely fabulous. Pigmentation's really, really good, and obviously not quite on Too Faced's level, but it's literally 4 times the price, the Too Faced one. I love the orange shades here, blend them out with the yellow, absolutely brilliant. For an everyday look, she literally has a shade here called Everyday, which I blend through the crease with cookie dough or chocolate orange if I'm wanting to have a slightly darker look. Absolutely fabulous. I love Soph. I love her YouTube channel and just what she stands for and kind of how she kind of operates herself. So for me, I'm really happy to support her in her collaborations, and this is one of the best things that I've ever bought, particularly for the price as well. We are nearly there, guys, I promise. I've literally got 2 more categories to talk about. So the second to last is mascara. Now, one that I have loved for ages and has definitely been a standout product that you won't really have seen on my channel at all because I use it mostly in my day-to-day life, I just forget about it, is the Kiko Extra Sculpt Waterproof Mascara. Again, I love Kiko mascaras, normally because they do a sale like 2 or 3 times a year where all their mascaras go down to £3.99, and for me, I just go bananas basically and buy them all. But this is kind of what the brush looks like on the Kiko mascara, so it's kind of like a weird kind of X shape. For me, I prefer the waterproof version because it just lasts a little bit longer on my eyelashes. It gives me really good volume, really good separation, really good length. For some people, I know this can be a little bit clumpy. I don't mind a clumpy lash, as you'll see with my second option. Lasts like nothing else, but it's still relatively easy to get off with like an oil-based cleanser. Absolutely brilliant. And a really new discovery, but one that I have literally been using every single day since I discovered it. Similar to my other mascara from this brand. This is the Tarte Man Eater Mascara. So, kind of looks like that. And then it's got one of the biggest ones I've ever seen on a mascara ever, but the tiniest little bristles. So it really gets in at the lashes, like the base of the lashes, and just kind of gets rid of the product really in there, gives you massive volume, massive separation, really good length as well. And for me, it's absolutely fabulous. I would definitely recommend this as a mascara. Not the biggest fan of the eyeliner because I find that it leaks kind of everywhere since I've been using it a bit more, but this mascara, absolutely brilliant. And finally, the last category is lips. If you'd have asked me to do this video a year ago, I'd have shown you an orange lipstick, an orange lip liner, and that would have been it. And then I grew up a little bit and realised you can't wear orange lipstick every day. Well, you can if you want to. It's just not really my bag anymore. I do still love my bright colours. I do still love wearing a bright pink or a bright orange. But for me, if I have to talk about my favourite products of 2020, the ones that I have used consistently day in, day out, that have been in my makeup bag, I really do have to talk about these 4 products. And I know I'm talking about 4, but bear with me. I have two lipsticks that have basically been living in my handbag and I've been using in pretty much every foundation video. I just haven't really shown you guys. One of them I'm wearing today and one of them I was wearing pretty much in the last like 10 foundation videos. They're both relatively similar. We have the Rimmel Only One matte lipstick in the shade Trendsetter. So this is kind of like a kind of peachy browny kind of colour. It's got enough, a little bit of pink in it so that I don't look ridiculous, because it needs to have a bit of pink in it for me to look not ridiculous basically. Really good price, about 7 or 8 quid. Lasts like nothing else. I do love a matte lipstick just because they last a bit longer on my skin. Well, my lips, not my skin, obviously. Really decent shade range, absolutely fabulous. Have used that for years. And then one that it took me ages to get, but I'm so glad I did, is MAC's Velvet Teddy. This is what I'm wearing on my lips today. I use this pretty much every day. Again, it is a matte lipstick, absolutely fabulous. Lasts really, really well. Looks, I think, okay on my skin tone. Definitely brilliant. I don't really need to use lip liner with it because I think that it just sits really well in terms of product on my skin. And then lip glosses that you very rarely see on my channel because I don't really feature lip glosses really at all, but they're both from Max Factor and I'm surprised by how much I've actually used these day to day. They've lived in my handbag, which is why they are battered, bruised and horrible. But you have one on top, which is the Honey Lacquer from Max Factor, and then just the Max Factor lip gloss in the shade Lustrous Sand. So I absolutely love both of these. They're very, very similar colours, as you can see. The one on the top is slightly darker, I think, really, but they're much of a muchness. I'm actually going to put them on now because my lips are feeling a little bit dry. They are really quite moisturising glosses. They do have like a little bit of colour to them, so if you really wanted to wear them on their own, you absolutely could. They're not sticky, they're really moisturising, they last really well on my skin. It's really difficult to do this and talk. And because of the colour of them, they sit well over a variety of different shades of lipstick, so this is why they've basically lived in my handbag and have been absolutely battered over the past kind of 8 months. But yeah, that is my Best in Beauty Roundup Makeup Edition 2020. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what your favourite products of 2020 have been. There will be a video coming soon talking about kind of the direction that I want to take my channel in 2021. So hopefully you guys are on board with that. There'll be a lot less new shiny things, but again I'll explain that in another video. If you haven't seen me before and you've enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button down below, or even if you have and you're not subscribed, please hit it. I know that 80% of you aren't subscribed and it'd be really, really helpful to me if you could, just as a little Christmas New Year present to me. Hit the video thumbs up if you haven't done so already so more people can find it, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And other than that, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.